Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:07, it's O'Connor and Company on this Thanksgiving morning. Thanks for tuning in. We're happy to be here with you and to hear what you're thankful for. Letting us know on social media as we drive through this morning's session, as you get through your everything that you're doing. And by the way, I neglected to say in our first hour, and I just want to, if for those of you who are working, not everyone has the day off. Obviously, look at me and Julie Gunlock, we're working. If you're out there, if you're getting to work, if you're heading home from work right now, or if you're on the job, we really appreciate you. We are so grateful for you and what you're doing right now to keep our country free and safe, our economy chugging along. We need you right where you are, and we're proud and honored to be sitting there right next to you while you go through whatever tasks you have at hand. Coming up at 7:35, Jane Hampton Cook, presidential historian. 8:05, Terry Schilling, American Principles Project. And then at 8:35, we'll talk to Aaron Hutcherson, a recipe developer for the Washington Post. Boy, I'd love that job, I think. Or would I? I'm not sure now.
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. I can't wait to talk to him.
You know, Julie, I'm so thrilled to be able to, you go on vacation, you go to Madrid, and we've got such a great group of people here to be able to take your chair and sit in while you're out. And we had Mercedes Schlapp, we had Patrice Onwuka, Sean Spicer came in and gave me a hard time on Tuesday. It was wonderful. Yeah. So, I don't want you to in any way think, oh God, it's not the same without you, is what I'm saying. It's wonderful. Everything's great.
Where you going with this, Larry? Where you going?
Yesterday, as wonderful
was the show just better without me? I got it. I got a turkey to prep.
As wonderful as Patrice is, and I love being on I got to be honest with you, and I'm keeping it real. When the story of Kamala Harris's video showing her to be the sloppy, messy, pathetic drunk that she obviously is, when that came out, I thought, oh my God, where is Julie when I need her? That's a you story. That is a yeah. Kamala Harris is a drunk hot mess, and I need Julie Gunlock. So let's get to it. Now, for those of you who didn't pick up on this,
can I just say one thing? I think honestly the reason Larry is because he knows I have some experience.
Right. Exactly. We're talking about a drunk hot mess. Oh, yay! Where's Julie?
Where's the expert?
Exactly. There's a reason why we do wine outlets ads together. So this is a video. This is Kamala Harris after 2 weeks in exile. Nice exile, by the way, over in Maui. Yeah. She gets back, and they said, you got to say something. You've got to make a public statement. She said, what? I already spoke. I did my speech at Howard University. What more do you people want? God, what else does a $1.5 billion buy from me, Jay?
Okay, I'll put on my brown suit. Where's my brown suit?
Oh, okay. I know this suit. I've been wearing it since
I like this suit.
My days at UPS. All right, so she sits down and delivers two messages, one to the donors and one to the grassroots. Now, by the way, this is the hidden story. We've only gotten the video that she gave to the grassroots. I want to see what she said to the donors. That must have been a hoot.
No, Larry. You really think there's any difference in what she said? I mean, it's the same thing.
Not.
Now, can I just intervene here real quick? I think it's important also before we listen to this. I think it's important to establish that there are different kinds of drunks. Okay, there are different kinds of. There are angry drunks. Okay, the people who they start feeling they start sort of talking about every slight and every injustice they've ever felt, right? They go over fights, they go over things that have happened in their lives, their upbringing, their work, whatever. And there are the sort of sleepy drunks, and they're just quiet, right? Yeah. And they just kind of sit in a corner, we're quiet and happy. And
I'm very familiar with both of these types.
And then there's two versions of happy drunks. There's just the happy drunks who are like, I love you so much. I love you. And they're very physical. They're kissy, huggy,
they
that
get in
kind
your
of stuff.
Face.
Right. Yeah. And that's Carrie Lucas. And then and then there's the talkative drunk, and I think I'm a little bit more like this, where it's like they're very much into encouraging people, right? And like, you are amazing. You are amazing. And don't let anyone ever. Now, this is what we're seeing with Kamala. She is a talkative, encouraging, sort of like a, a counselor, right? Wants to tell everybody, you can do it.
I likened it to the childless drunk aunt who is too old to have kids now, but now she thinks that she's your mentor because she sees you once a year.
Mentor
at the
drunk,
holidays.
the mentor drunk. That's a good word. Am I missing any, Larry?
No,
violent,
that's pretty much.
I guess there's there's probably a violent drunk.
There's the happy drunk who sings show tunes.
That
would be me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you got to hear this song. No, turn it up. You got to hear this song. This will change your life. That's me. All right,
so mentor drunk.
Here's Kamala
She's a mentor
Harris
drunk.
talking to the grassroots.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Everybody.
You have the same power that you did before November 5th.
Right.
No, you don't.
And you have the same
Not
purpose
in any way
that you did.
Yeah.
And you have the same
Say it.
ability
There it is.
to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
And mentor drunks often kind of slide into, like, if this is one of these, they slide into angry drunk because they want
right on the edge.
Don't you ever think anyone can take your Yeah.
And you honed in on it. There is one moment here that we want to zero in on that really does display the substance abuse problem that we're seeing right before our eyes. This is a cry for help, my friends, is what it is. Here, listen.
And you have the same ability.
There it is. Oh, she got it out. Oh, the effort to say that word.
Ability.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, so you heard the message from Kamala Harris, and you certainly heard the delivery. Now, here's what's fascinating to me, because, listen, we've been saying for years now that we cannot wait for the tell-all books that are going to come out about the Biden administration, what really happened behind the scenes, how incapacitated he really was, how protected, what they covered up, what they hid. Those books are coming. Then, add to that, we're going to have the tell-all books about the coup that knocked him off the ticket and brought Kamala Harris in. That's going to be a great set of tell-all books. Then we're going to have the tell-all books about the Kamala campaign and everything they hid from us. And I think one of the major factors, and again, this is my opinion, but I've been watching these videos, and there's a lot of them, and they are not doctored. There is something debilitating her ability to think and speak. She is either addicted to alcohol or she's addicted to pharmaceuticals. This is either a Xanax thing or it's a booze thing. But you cannot tell me. Or here's the other option. And again, I'm not trying to defame anyone. I'm open to all options. And if Ms. Harris would like to come on and explain this, I'd be happy to talk to her. I am maintaining that you have three options here. Number one, she's an alcoholic, a barely functional alcoholic. Number two, she's addicted to pharmaceuticals, which, by the way, you look at the averages in America right now for women her age with her lifestyle and her life experience, the majority of women in her category are addicted to some kind of pharmaceutical, or at least utilizing a pharmaceutical. Or number three, she's just got some sort of inherent mental problem. That it's not because of any substance, it's just because she's, debilitated in some way. Those are your choices.
I actually believe it's a combination of two of them. I definitely think the woman enjoys a cocktail. Yeah. And it was the first picture of her post-election. She's playing with her nieces on the floor playing Connect 5, and there's a glass of wine next to her. Yes. And I actually was kind of annoyed with people for giving her a hard time. I mean, God bless, give her a hard time. But I was sort of like, come on. You're going to have a glass of wine.
Right.
Not a big deal. But I do think that this is probably something that she relies on. I mean, again, yes. I don't have any details. But I will say, what we're forgetting about Kamala, and I think
hold that thought. We've got more to say, and okay. I've got some evidence to show you that this is not a one-off. This isn't just because she lost the election. This has been a pattern of behavior. I've got video from 2 years ago in Manila, the Philippines, at the U.S. Embassy that is strikingly exactly the same as what we just saw from her. She has an issue, and we'll get to it in a moment. First, though, it's 6:16. All right, finish your thought there on Kamala
Yeah,
Harris.
so just quickly, I think it's a combination. I definitely think that it does display some signs of some sort of dependency, but also I think she's lazy. We've known for years and years and years she is lazy, and I think that it's a combination of just sort of speaking in these weird ways because she doesn't understand the policy, so she slips into word salad. Oprah talk, your truth, don't let anyone take your power, blah blah blah, and then I do think that occasionally there's a cocktail involved. That's my
I think
theory.
you're right, and I think it might be cocktails and Xanax, and here's why, or maybe Ambien even, because I found a pattern. You're right about that pattern of behavior, by the way. You're absolutely right about the fact that she is lazy. She doesn't do her prep. She says, "Oh, I'm a naturally born politician. You give me 20 minutes, I can wing it." And by the way, some politicians can do that. But she slips into the same bullet points and the same talking points and the same sort of pattern. Now, I want to remind you, this is her remarks to the grassroots Democrats that worked on her campaign from 2 days ago. Just listen to this 30 seconds, and then we'll go right to this speech she gave in the Philippines. Listen.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability. To engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
Oh, you can smell the Hennessy fumes across the radio. All right, so now cement that in your brain, okay? You've heard that. Now, 2 years ago, November 2022, Manila, the Philippines, U.S. Embassy speaking to a gathering.
Never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior.
Wow.
Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you. You do what you gotta do. And isn't that a wonderful way to live?
Now,
that is a combination, if we're going by my theory just very quickly,
yes,
that is on the Venn diagram, that is a combination of sleepy drunk and mentor drunk that are coming together, and that's what you get.
I agree, and I think that this is also an example of the lazy factor where she's, oh yeah, just give me the mic, I'm good at this. 20
That's
minutes,
right.
I can do
That's
20
right.
minutes.
Sure, yep.
And then I found another pattern of behavior here. And here's what I'm getting at is, in terms of why this is right. First of all, people are like, oh, just leave her alone. Why are you bothering? I'll tell you why. Number one, we had 98% of the American newspapers endorsed her for president and said, she's the one to steer this ship. She's the best person. And everyone in the mainstream media, the people who cover her, who follow her, you cannot tell me they haven't seen this. You can't tell me that when she leaves the room, they all look at each other and raise their eyebrows and say, what the hell's going on there? But not a one of them ever mentioned this. If Donald Trump's behavior ever became something that made them raise their eyebrows, they'd have a breaking news alert on cable news, right? But this was covered up by them. It was also covered up by the staff. We know that she burns through staff. She had, didn't she lose something like 90% of her staff in the first 3 years as vice president?
Yes.
They don't like her. And the fact that the Democrat Party put out this video deliberately tells me that they still don't like her.
They have to hire actors to engage with her. They have to hire child actors. She is so revolting that they had to, Okay.
All of that is why it's relevant. But also, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but this woman is still vice president of the United States. This woman is one very faint, fragile 82-year-old heartbeat away from the presidency for the next 50-plus days. So do not tell me that this is just kicking Kamala while she's down and she's just, I've done my sleuth work here.
Yeah.
So you have found a pattern of behavior. You found, what she does and that she's lazy and she goes to the talking point. She says all that. And I still think that you don't behave the way that we just portrayed without having some sort of outside substance influencing you. So what does the speech to the Democrats that we just got a day and a half ago and that speech in the Philippines have in common? Air travel. She flew to the Philippines, and she had just flown back. We told her she just landed from Hawaii to San Francisco, and she's going to deliver this speech to the Democrats. I'm telling you, I know people, a lot of people, it's not uncommon, when you've got a long flight, you just got back from a long flight from
I know
Europe.
what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
You have a little something to take the edge off for that flight. Or maybe, and it's in the White House, in the administration, it's very well known that when you are traveling to different time zones, they give you an Ambien, they give you a Xanax, they give you a pill so that you can be refreshed when you land, right?
Extremely dangerous behavior too. I do know when I worked in Congress, I went on a CODAL, which is a foreign travel, official foreign travel, and to Indonesia, painfully long flight. And
when you land, you're a congressman. You need to be, all right, we're ready to go. We've got a state visit.
A staffer, I witnessed a staffer, and he was kind of saying to us, if you take this pill and just one glass of wine, you'll sleep the whole time. So, which is, let me tell you, is dangerous behavior. You do not want to do that. But again, you say, like, people do these things. You do these things to get through these long fights or to get through. I mean, I just slept you try sleeping naturally. But the point is that some people can't.
If you remember, at the end of the Trump presidency, there was a mini scandal about this involving the White House medical staff giving pills out to staffers while they were on international trips. This is not an uncommon occurrence.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
In my opinion, that's part of what we're witnessing, that she's still coming down off of whatever pharmaceuticals they gave her. Both of these incidents, both of these speeches, both of the slurring and the behavior and the weird facial expressions all came right after a trip on the vice president's plane. So
yeah, it really is interesting, Larry, when you just said that, when you said this woman is still vice president. Yep. Larry, I'm embarrassed to say that I was like, oh, right.
That's right. I mean, wait till you hear this. I'm going to blow your mind. Joe Biden is president. I know. Boy, we are just holding our breath for 50 days. It's 6:25 WMAL. 6:36. It's O'Connor and Company on this Thanksgiving morning. Thanks for letting us be a part of your holiday. We're grateful for you, and we're grateful for the opportunity that we have every day to have a conversation with you about everything that matters, and even some fun stuff that in the grand scheme of things probably don't matter much, but it's the stuff of life. Coming up at 7:35, Jane Hampton-Cook, presidential historian, will join us. At 8:05, Terry Schilling, American Principles Project, and then at 8:35, Aaron Hutcherson, recipe developer for the Washington Post. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Welcome back, Julie, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, just to button this Kamala thing up real fast, and then we are going to move on to some other things, but just listen to her words again, and I want you to listen to her words shot through the lens of January 6th, or for that matter, even more appropriately, shoot these words through the lens of what we saw on Inauguration Day 2017, the violence that we saw break out in Washington, D.C. as a result of Donald Trump being sworn in as president. Now, I don't want anything to happen on Inauguration Day or anywhere in this country between now and the day that Donald Trump is sworn in, but I am wise enough and smart enough and just sober enough to recognize that there is a very real possibility that the organized left in this country could act out in very violent and destructive ways. So knowing that, listen to her words again.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th.
Who's she talking to? She's talking to people who work in the government, people who are in power right now, people who have roles in either in this administration or had roles in her campaign and hope to have roles in the incoming administration. She's probably talking to a lot of union members, public employee union members who were dedicated to keeping the government as powerful and as large as possible. And she said, don't let anyone take your power away from you. You have just as much power as you had. Keep listening to her words.
Yes. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire.
No, you actually don't. And I just want to say this. The people who hoped to continue in this administration or hope to be a part of the next administration, you literally don't have power. You have been kept from power. That's the whole reason for this election. Donald Trump, his team, his administration, his campaign workers who will now be populating the new administration. They have power. You do not. And so if, God forbid, something happens, can we not use their same tactics and say she is responsible for inciting some kind of resistance against this incoming administration?
You're absolutely right. You nailed this, actually, and these sort of hidden messages, and not to be paranoid, but it is a hidden message. My theory, Larry, is, you said she's talking to unions, she's talking to activists. Mm-hmm. I think she is talking to the administrative state, the fourth wing, the fourth branch of government, the thing that Doge is going to destroy. That is who she's talking to. The administrative state is the one that tried to take down the first Trump administration.
That's right. 100%. And that leads us to the big story coming out of yesterday afternoon and into this morning, and that is the very real and palpable violent threats against this administration, the incoming administration. Here's how Peter Ducey reported it on Fox News yesterday.
Emily, this is a potential national security problem, so we have reached out to the National Security Council at the White House to find out what they are tracking. We will bring you their answer once we have one. We have also been in touch with some officials down with the transition team at Mar-a-Lago. They are not willing to go any further at this time than this statement. We made a graphic so you can follow along. Last night and this morning, several of President Trump's cabinet nominees and administration appointees were targeted in violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These attacks ranged from bomb threats to swatting. In response, law enforcement and other authorities acted quickly to ensure the safety of those who were targeted. President Trump and the entire transition team are grateful for their swift action. And just as we were coming to air, we learned who at least one of these Trump appointees, or rather Trump nominees, who received one of these threats last night. It was Elise Stefanik, who President Trump wants confirmed by the Senate to be the ambassador to the United Nations. She says, in part, in a statement, this morning, her office says, this morning, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, her husband, and their 3-year-old son were driving home to Saratoga County from Washington for Thanksgiving when they were informed of a bomb threat to their residence. She goes on to describe a pretty robust response. And we're also told that, this is Fox News Digital, that the director of the CIA nominee, John Ratcliffe, and Pete Hegseth, the DOD nominee, were among those targeted too. Keep in mind, these are all private citizens right now who are up for big jobs in the future. And once somebody takes over the Defense Department, say, they would have Pentagon police. Once somebody takes over the CIA, they would have CIA police. But right now, they are private citizens living in their homes preparing for confirmation hearings, so they don't have security details per se to deal with something like a swatting incident where the police show up because of an erroneous, with guns drawn potentially because of an erroneous tip that there is some kind of violent action happening.
Yeah, and we've seen these tactics by the left. They've used it against conservative for years and years. And add to that list Lee Zeldin, incoming EPA director. Add to that list Scott Turner, incoming HUD secretary. They're all getting these violent threats. I want to explore this further and let you know that this is not random. This is not random. This is, once again, the bullying and intimidation to try to stop this presidency before it gets started. They're just using somewhat different tactics than last time. Last time it was Russian collusion. Last time it was publicly shaming and intimidating people from joining the administration because they were warned, oh, you're going to be caught up in you better lawyer up. You're going to have to deal with an impeachment. You're going to be, caught up and indicted, too, if you're part of this criminal enterprise. That kept people out of government, and now they're trying to do this. We got to explore it further, and we will in a moment. It's 6:43. We're continuing now this conversation about these very real violent threats against incoming members of the Trump administration. And listen, I know Donald Trump got a bullet whiz past his face and it mangled his ear and there was blood streaming down his face, and he stood up and thrust his fist in the air and said, fight, 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 and Secret Service ushered him away, and it was incredible, and he's compelling, and they keep knocking him down and he keeps getting back up again. Here's what I want to say. Not everybody is Donald Trump. And I hear that story about Elise Stefanik driving back to New York from Washington with her husband and 3-year-old child, and they find out that there's a bomb threat in their house. And Julie, you know people who've worked in government for years. I know people personally who chose not to work in the Trump administration the first time because of this, because of what it would do to their family, because they knew what it would do to their family and how they would be under fire in so many different ways. And that's what the hidden thing. Listen, they should take all of these threats seriously. Tom Homan's had to deal with it as well. They all have to take it seriously. But a lot of it is really just a bullying tactic to keep people from taking a job. They don't want this administration to succeed.
You're absolutely right. And very quickly, I will say all you need to do is look at what happened to Nancy Mace last week when her simple request was if men could please stay out of women's bathrooms.
Yeah.
And as a result, a leftist got online and said he wanted to grab her by the hair and bash her face into the tile on the bathroom and kill her.
That's right.
Drag her across a bathroom and wanted to murder her. That is the result. That is what the left does. The left doesn't come back with, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the issue. No, it is, I want to kill you. That is what the left does. And that is what people of this administration are going to face.
And this is also a threat to democracy, if I may say. It is a threat to a peaceful transition of power. It is a threat to all of those things that they say they're against. Where was yesterday's public press conference from Attorney General Merrick Garland with FBI Director Christopher Wray next to him? Where was the statement from Joe Biden saying this is not acceptable?
I mean, Kamala's telling her people, you still have power instead of simmer down, people.
That's right. The only message we got from the Democrats in power was,
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
And suddenly the incoming administration have death threats against them. Yeah, the work has just begun, folks. The election didn't end it. The election began it. It's 6:53.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.